Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Software Testing with Ree. In today's video, we are going to learn about conversion functions in SQL. We'll explore some of the most useful functions like cast, convert, toChar, toDate, and toNumber, all with simple real world examples. You'll see how these functions help you format data, perform calculations, and make your SQL queries more powerful, especially for database testing and data validation. Let's get started. So, here's the idea behind conversion functions. Sometimes in SQL, you are working with different type of data, numbers, text, dates, and you need them to talk to each other. That's where these functions come in. They help you convert, say, a string into a number or a date into a text, and so on. It's super handy when you are comparing values, formatting results for a report, or just making sure the data fits the format you want. Now, why do we even need conversion functions? Well, in real world databases, the data isn't always in the perfect format you want. For example, maybe salaries are stored as text. If you want to calculate total salary, you first need to convert that text into a number. Or dates, sometimes they need to be formatted nicely before display them in a report. So, conversion functions really help bridge the gap between how data is stored and how you want to use or present it. Alright, so what are some of the common conversion functions we use in SQL? Here are a few you'll see quite often. Cast and convert. These are used to change data types like turning a string into a number or a date. Then you got toChar. Super useful for converting dates or numbers into nicely formatted text. Next, toDate, that's for taking a string and turning it into a proper date, and toNumber to convert text into a number for calculations. Let's talk about the cast function. This is a really handy tool when you need to convert a value from one data type to another. For example, sometimes your data is stored as text, but you need it as a number to do calculations. Or maybe you have an integer, but for your report, you need it as a decimal. And to make these changes, you use cast function. It helps you ensure the data is in the right format for whatever operations you want to perform. And the syntax is simple. You just write cast and tell SQL what type you want to convert to. We'll see this in action next. Here's a quick example of cast function in action. Let's say we want we have this employees table and notice the salary column is stored as text. Now, if we want to do calculations on salary like totals or averages, we need to convert it to a number. So here we use cast salary as decimal 10,2, and as you see as you can see in the output, the salary is now a proper decimal number, ready for any math we want to do. Very simple and very useful. Now, let's look at the convert function. It works very much like cast function. It is used to change the data type of a value. But this one is specific to SQL Server and it can give you little more control, especially when you are working with dates and formatting. The syntax is simple. You tell it what data type you want, the value to convert, and optionally a style if you want to format the result, which is really useful for things like date display. We'll check out an example next. Here's a simple example of using convert function. We have an orders table and notice the order date column the full date and time. But let's say for reporting, we just want to display the date in simple month, date, year format. So here we use convert varchar order date 101, and in the output you can see the clean formatted dates. This is a great example of where convert function gives you extra control over how your data looks. Next up is toChar, which is used in Oracle SQL. This function converts values into a string. So you can take a date or a number and turn it into text. But the real power of toChar is that also let you control the formatting. So you can decide exactly how that date or number will appear. The syntax is pretty simple. You pass in the value you want to convert, and you also provide the format if you want. Let me show you an example. Here's an example of toChar in action. In this employees table, the hire date is stored with both date and time, but maybe for a report we just want to display the date in a nice readable format like date, month, year. So here we use toChar hire date, date, month, year, and as you can see in the output, the dates are nicely formatted as strings. This is really helpful when you need full control over how your dates or numbers appear. Now let's look at toDate, which is another Oracle function. It's used when you have date stored as a string and you want to convert it into an actual date type. So you can do proper date operations on it. You simply provide the string value and tell SQL what format that string is in. It's very useful function when you are working with imported data or user input where date might be stored as text. Let's see an example next. Here's a quick example of toDate. In this temp orders table, the order date text column stores dates as strings like 01062025. But if we want to run date functions like sorting or calculating date differences, we need to convert it into an actual date type. So we use toDate order date text date month year format, and as you can see in the output, it's now a proper date format that SQL understands. Very useful when dealing with string based dates. Next, we have toNumber. This is used in Oracle to convert a string into a number. It's very common to run into situations where numbers are accidentally stored as text, maybe from a file import or user input. But if you want to do calculations like sum, averages, or comparisons, the data must be in numeric form. That's where toNumber comes in. You just pass in the string value and it converts it to a number that SQL can work with. Let's look at an example. Here's how toNumber works in practice. In this sales data table, the sales amount text column stores sales amount as text. Notice the quotes around the numbers. If we want to calculate totals or averages, we need to convert this text into actual numbers. So we use toNumber sales amount text, and as you can see in the output, now we have proper numeric values we can use for any calculation. Very simple and super useful. Alright, quick recap of what we have covered. We looked at cast, a general purpose way to convert data types. Convert, similar to cast but with extra formatting control in SQL Server. toChar, great for turning dates and numbers into formatted text. toDate, for converting strings into proper dates, and toNumber for converting strings into numeric values. The big takeaway is these functions help you make your data usable for calculations, comparisons, and reporting. Super practical for real world SQL work. Thank you so much for watching this video on SQL Conversion Functions. If you found it helpful, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is Software Testing with Ree. I'll be bringing more easy to understand videos on SQL and software testing topics very soon. And please let me know in comments below what topic you would like me to prepare next video on. Stay tuned and I'll see you in the next video.